Happy holidays! The Farmers Market Pros team is taking this week off, at least until Saturday, when we'll be greeting shoppers full of hope and resolutions at our first market of the year on New Year's Day. While we're away, enjoy this recording from last May and find out how Kathy Newsom of the Corner Farmers Market in Greensboro, North Carolina, gains financial support from community members, vendors, and local businesses. It's not too late to post a last-minute appeal for funds while your shoppers and fans have a few days left to earn 2021 tax deductions for their donations. If you need a business expense deduction, you still have time to register in 2021 for Intense, the Farmers Market Conference, coming March 7th through 9th, 2022 in San Diego and online. Find that link at farmersmarketpros.com. Have a safe and wonderful New Year's celebration, and we'll be back next Monday with an all-new episode of Tent Talk.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for joining us, taking the time to come on Tent Talk. We're pleased to have you.
Yes. Well, this is a great resource. It can be kind of lonely to be a farmer's market manager. You feel like you're kind of inventing the wheel yourself every time. So it's nice to know that there's a network that folks can tap into for advice.
Exactly. Isn't that the truth? I mean, that's pretty much why we started it, because we felt like nobody understands me.
We're so lonely. Will anyone ever understand?
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, wait a minute. All these other people understand.
And it's amazing. It's no matter where you are, not just in the U.S., but in the world, you can talk to other farmers market managers and find out that they've got exactly the same issues and exactly the same multitasking list of things that they have to keep track of at any given moment. So, it's good to find your village.
And it's weird, even if the regulations are different in every state or every county or every country, the problems are still the same. Like,
the core issues.
Can dogs come to the market? Or, you know.
I know when we go to France to talk to the market managers there, they're like, oh yeah, this vendor didn't bring their poles for their tent, and we don't know where to put this table, or this new construction's happening. We have to move things around. I'm like, oh, it's the same issues everywhere. It's very bonding. Yeah. It's a bonding experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Kathy, we just want to get started by hearing your background. How did you end up running the Corner Farmers Market? What led you there?
I was working in advertising and as a PR executive, and I left that job to when my second child was born, and began homeschooling my fourth grader. And we were really trying to develop a community-based curriculum, and so we spent a lot of time just out in the neighborhood. And one day, I saw some farmers selling out of the back of their trucks with little tents at our pizza place up the street. And so I started talking to them, and they're like, we're willing to do this every Saturday. And I'm like, there's nobody buying stuff. So, I was like, how can we help? And so the kids and I just started bringing crafts and, book swaps, setting up book swaps, and just trying to get our neighbors to come to the market. And, 10 years later, that's turned into running a market with about 35 vendors every week. We've maxed out the parking lot, and now I'm paid for my work as the manager. So I do a little bit more than set up paint and finger paint some things down. But, but that's how it started. And I think that, so many of us fall into this just because we love farmers markets or love our community. So it's probably a pretty familiar story to most people.
It's amazing how often those actions we take that are self-serving, I want to shop at a farmer's market, turn out to have benefit for the wide world around us. So it's wonderful. So you're still at the pizza parlor.
We are, yeah. That connection began because the owner of the pizza place tries to purchase all local ingredients. And so these were farmers that he was already buying from. And he said, you guys deliver on Saturday morning. Why don't you just sell stuff out of the back of your trucks? And they took him up on it. And now, he's got a lot full of, us crazy farmers and vendors out there every week. But I think it's served both sides well and the community really well. So
That's
That
great.
pizza guy's kind of my hero.
I love
Go
him.
check him out.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to
it's
get
pretty
some
great.
pizza.
Yeah,
So-
and it's free for us, so that's really nice.
Oh, that's
good.
fantastic.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
So you said at first you were just trying to get people to show up. I think that's a very common, pain point for new markets of getting that word out there, getting people to come. Did you use any of your advertising background or PR background to get the word out, or how did you kind of get your community involved when it was just beginning?
We actually, we weren't really that adept with things like, Facebook, I don't even think was a thing 10 years ago. So my kids actually, we homeschooled, and they wrote this neighborhood newsletter, and we actually delivered these, like flyers to everybody's house. And a lot of it was just super self-serving, like come out to the farmers market and do this thing with us. And we would write profiles about the farmers and stuff like that. So, we really started in a cut and paste kind of way doing our marketing. And, a lot of that still goes on, with us, because my computer skills are not that great. And it's really nice. I'm kind of a DIY kind of person, but I've turned into, if there's somebody you can hire to do it for you, we do. And so we really take advantage now of, Facebook and Instagram. And I have vendors that volunteer because they're really good at that. So it's really nice to have those things, because we rely pretty heavily, especially now, on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have to go to any kind of a remote program when COVID got started? When you say you rely more on being online now, did you do online ordering and that kind of thing?
Well, right away, we kind of realized the magnitude of the situation that we were getting into, and all of us were 100% committed to not closing down. And so one of the things that we knew right away was we needed to offer a drive-through service. So initially, we started that with a list of, phone numbers, contact information for each farmer. The customer would contact the farmer directly, and the farmer would fill the order and take the credit card over the phone and all that. And I think a lot of farmers markets still do it that way. But like I say, if there's somebody that's figured it out, we'll definitely, pay for the service. So we actually started using What's Good. I know they're the sponsor today. It's unplanned. Totally unplanned.
Yeah.
But I am a super big fan, because it was so complicated to do it the way we were doing it. There's just no paper trail, and, What's Good is really good at organizing a website for you. The customer can buy from lots of different vendors. So even the really small vendors are getting orders, and it prints out the order for you. And, you can print out a collated order, and we're doing, 100 or so orders still each week, and it runs really smoothly with that service. And our customers are really happy with it, which is important thing too.
That's great.
That is great. Yeah,
That's
100 plus
awesome.
orders a week. That's good. Even now, as things are lightening up a little bit, or do you feel like they're lightening up?
Early on, when our state had like lockdowns, like stay-at-home orders, you could only leave your house, for sustenance. We were at like 350 orders a week. But that, has trickled down. People are, now we don't even have a mask mandate as of this weekend. So things are starting to ease up some, and it'll be interesting to see what that does to, I almost think that our online sales will go up, because if more people are unmasked, I think more people will be uncomfortable. But we'll see. It's a good service to have, and I think it'll be something that we'll try to do long-term at our market.
Cool.
That's great.
That's what I've been wondering, if people are going to keep those. Some markets are going to keep those online ordering systems, even beyond when states start lifting all these things, because people will still feel unsafe, or they'll just, feel like that's a better option for them.
Yeah, or just their lifestyle now.
Yeah. So it's nice to have options now. Can you tell us about what is the people's market?
The People's Market is a lot like our market in a different neighborhood. The Glenwood neighborhood is a lower income area than our neighborhood. It backs up to a housing project. So they have a lot of SNAP customers, and we do a doubling program. So it's really worked out for both of our markets to kind of do what we're doing here, which is sharing resources and experiences to benefit each other. But we also share, grants and things like that. We'll work together to raise money. So that market and our market we call ourselves sister markets. Some of our vendors vend at each market because they're at different times. The People's Market is a Thursday night market. So yeah.
But they have their own manager and you just work with them?
Yes. We actually have developed kind of an umbrella nonprofit that the manager of the People's Market and myself are on the board. And then there are a couple of other advisors that have a lot of experience with nonprofit and fundraising. So that's kind of where we intertwine, and we share some bank accounts, to share grant funding. But no, I don't have any management duties over there at all. We, fill in for each other sometimes because we do the same jobs, but they're totally separate markets. And the goal of our nonprofit is to mentor other markets in the area that would like to, create their own neighborhood farmers market. I know a lot of bigger cities have that kind of an organization, and we'd really like to encourage, each community to have its own farmers market, because I think, I've just seen what that can do for the neighborhoods that we're in.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Kind of like big sister, or I don't mean to call it a sister market, but just like working together and, using all the skills that you've developed over the last 10 years and kind of helping out another market to leverage those experiences for their own community.
It is a really good idea, and I think you're kind of discounting how special you are, because when you say a lot of communities have that, surprisingly few communities have that, actually, where you'll have an established market that mentors and kind of nurtures markets in neighboring communities. So I'm impressed by what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's working out really well. And as we all know, it's really nice to have somebody to, say, hey, what are you guys doing about the mask mandate? Or, do you have extra tents that we can borrow this week? It's just nice to have, friends nearby that are going through the same stuff you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were talking a while ago about how we're all trauma bonded now, but we've discovered way deeper relationships going through this last year of really sort of exciting times. But I think then we're easing back to what's the transition going to look like, and long term, we've all got a lot of common goals and common issues, and it's great to have this community have sort of built up during this rough time that will extend. I can't see it ending at this point. Everybody's relying on each other so much.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you hear this too. I have people, for a long time, the only time I left the house was to go manage the farmers market, and a lot of our customers said, we really look forward to Saturday because our kids aren't in school. They never see anybody except for to come to the farmers market. And so, we became a really something that they look forward to, and an important connection for the whole family. So, I think we were that, but we weren't the only thing that people had before this. And now it's, I think, people have got a new appreciation for the community that exists around a market.
Yeah, I really think so too. We've heard comments from people, especially back when we first were doing this under very constricted protocols, but we would have customers turn up and say, this is the one little slice of normal in my life right now. Thank you for being here. So,
yeah, and they feel safe coming, and it just feels like, a good place to be during an uncertain time. So,
safe way to shop.
Yep.
So one of the reasons we connected with you, Kathy, is because you had made a comment in a group conversation I was on online, and I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. It sounds like you've got a really robust program of market sustainers, you called them, which I think is probably like a Friends of the Market sort of program,
Yeah.
but yours sounded like it went a little bit deeper and it had some interesting aspects to it. So at its core, is it called Market Sustainers, and is it something that they sign up for that has recurring donations, or how does that work?
We do use the word sustenance and sustainers, but it is exactly that: friends of the market, supporters of the market. It's what NPR asks you to be every year, and folks will sign up. I mean, we've got mostly customers, but we also have vendors that sign on to give a small donation, and that's over $1,000 a month that goes to pay for our corner pickup service, and goes towards because we pay everybody. I mean, a lot of farmers markets, a lot of people volunteer to come out to the farmers market, but during a pandemic, we were we really felt like that we should be paying people. So initially we had all these grants and, COVID relief funds, and those have kind of dried up, but our community has really come through for us, giving that, $10 a month or $20 a month, whatever it is, has become a really important source of income to cover us, as we move into the next who knows what, but to keep these programs alive that people are starting to really like.
Do you use some of that money to fund operations for the pre-order and pickup systems? Because I'm wondering, as markets look at keeping those going, how they afford them, because you need the extra staff to manage that.
The real cost is staff. You're right, and we pay well. I think that's just really important. It's kind of who we are as a market, and so it's not cheap. It's not cheap to run with the staff, and we've always got 2 people, and they can manage the tent. Having this really great aggregation system, what's good. It's very manageable with 2 people right now, and so our sustainer program definitely is covering that, and some more actually, because we have some staff. The market is right across the street from the corner pickup, and we've got some extra staff helping out with COVID regulations and offering people masks and things like that. So we're able to pay all those folks, which is really a big help.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard that you have some local businesses that match sustainer donations or special fundraisers.
That is a really, we found that is a really great way to encourage folks to sign up. Sometimes like our vendors will say, hey, I'll, give $500. I want to make a donation to the market, and we'll encourage them to set, because nobody comes to you and says, I'll match every, they don't speak that language. But you can say it's kind of a shell game, but like people say, I want to give you $500, and I'll say, hey, can we say that Elam Gardens will match, the next, or give a $50 bonus for every sustainer that signs up in the next month. Because people really feel like, I'm just giving $10, I don't know if I'm really going to, get off the pot and do that. And that bonus really, I think, motivates a lot of us to do it. And I think it says a lot for the company or the family or, the person behind making that donation. We actually had an advisor when we started out with, really needing to do some fundraising. There was a group called Fund for Democratic Communities that advised us that the smartest way to fundraise was to do sustainer programs. I think that for us, it really feels very natural. We have a lot of neighborhood loyalty. And those people want to give. And then there are people that can't get to the market, but they want to support the market. They want the market to be there. And so it's a way that they can contribute. And you're not asking people every month, can you give another $10? It's already set up. You're thanking people. And that is a lot more natural for me as a person, as a manager, to, be saying, thank you. Thanks so much, for, being a sustainer. And, rather than saying, hey, we need to hit you up again. So I think, I really recommend the sustainer programs. I think that people tend to continue to give once they're in it. And it adds up to be more money. I mean, somebody might think, oh, I'll give you $25, but they would also be just as likely to sign up to give you $10 a month for a year. That really, does add up.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you, when you're thanking people, you had mentioned you're like NPR with the donation program. So do you send them a cup or a tote bag or anything?
We've had things, and one really fun thing that we did, there's a local screen printer that had a mobile screen printing set up, and he came on site, and we were doing a sustainer drive, and everybody that signed up could pick out their t-shirt, and he would screen print it right there with the farmers market logo. And so doing kind of an event with a gift like that was really fun. I don't really like it when, I give money and then they give me something that seems like they're spending my money on, a stuffed panda, World Wildlife Fund.
And they're shipping it to you.
Yeah.
And it comes in like a big plastic bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, we kind of try to stay away from too much of that. I mean, we gave out masks with our logo, but it wasn't really tied to a gift for a donation necessarily.
Oh, that's good. And then you've used you use a platform or a program called Snowball to operate that. Is that right?
I think that Snowball may be the former name. I believe it's called @pay, like the symbol pay now.
Oh, okay.
If somebody was looking it up,
Right.
that would be what they would Google or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like using, a platform for your, online ordering. I mean, it's not free, but it's worth it to, they take a 6% cut, but I mean, they're running the credit card, they're billing the person every month, they're handling the tax information. I can just print off, how much this person gave, or they can access that information themselves, which is super nice.
That's great.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, we looked, fairly hard to try to find a free platform. I mean, because we're a nonprofit, and we didn't find one. And really the service it's kind of just worth it. So even if you have to pay for it, I think that it's worth using a platform like that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Mm-hmm. It's you let people do what they're good at.
Yeah.
I mean, take my job, please. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're market managers. We're not like good at bill collecting and tax paperwork and things like that. So just
shaking people down every month for $10. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. No, it's such a good
more
idea.
Important things to do.
And did you tell us in that chat that we were in? I wish I could remember where I met you, but about vendors doing birthday fundraisers. I want to hear more about that. That sounded fascinating.
Yeah. Have you ever seen on Facebook, you can set up a fundraiser for your birthday?
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
If you're set up as a nonprofit on Facebook, people can choose you as their, birthday fundraiser.
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
It's really cool. A lot of our sustainers do it. Our vendors do it. Some of the folks that benefit from our SNAP doubling program do it. And the really amazing thing is people will tell the whole story, their whole story of why they love the market. Because I started selling my grandmother's pound cakes at this market, now I have this business, or, these are the folks that, make it possible for me to buy my daughter's gluten-free foods. I wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise, but because of their SNAP program, please, join me in supporting it. I mean, it's a really, I won't say super lucrative, money-wise way, but, as far as a PR thing, I mean, it's just, usually just, you get these beautiful stories, and, as when people come to you and donate, they usually have a story that is, really makes you feel good as a farmers market manager, that you feel like you're impacting so many lives. But the birthday stories are are usually pretty sweet. So,
Yeah,
but that's how that works. It's through Facebook, and people can donate to our market, from our Facebook page or for, these, other fundraisers. So
we've always said, and we tell our vendors this too, when you do any kind of a fundraising or a crowdfunding kind of program to give yourself a financial boost, that you're getting so much more in terms of hearts and minds than just the money. Because once somebody's donated to you, they're attached to you. They want to tell their friends they support you, and they're part of what's making you successful. So it has so many incremental benefits over just the donation itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's, something that is an important part of the Sustainer program, is the continual, thank you and recognition, because, this person's maybe giving $10 a month and it's been a year, and it's easy for them not to hear from you. And so, we'll put, their name in the newsletter, or, when a new sustainer signs up, I'll say, hey, welcome aboard, Cat White, it's, it's a lot to keep up with, but that's, like you say, connecting with people and their stories, telling their stories, hey, Palmer signed up this weekend, and the reason why is because, she met this farmer at the, whatever. So, yeah, I think there is a lot more than money involved with donations, and it's smart to leverage those stories, definitely.
Yeah, the personal connection, I think, is just so great. I love it when people just leave us reviews and tell a little story about why they love the market, 5 stars, and I just feel like that when people see that, they are like, oh, I should go to this market. It has this strong connection to these people, and these people have these feel good stories. So also including a fundraising element with that just sounds like such a great way to sustain your market and bring in that extra revenue to then, provide more services and, help more of the community. So it's a nice, very smart
I think, from a PR perspective, by training in PR, an implied endorsement is so much more valuable than a paid endorsement, so, I was always, kind of trying to encourage people to go this route, to get media coverage and get, like this with, customers giving, this, giving us this credibility, this borrowed credibility from them, rather than just placing ads that we wrote that we say were great,
Yeah.
And I think that's so smart to pull in your vendors too. Because as a former vendor, I think sometimes, especially if you work a lot of markets, it's easy just to kind of get in this mindset of you show up, you work the market, you go home. But I always really appreciated working at the markets that obviously, they're connecting with the community, they're showing up to events, they're putting money into advertising, and they're really building up their names so people are coming to the market, and getting the vendors involved in those birthday fundraisers kind of just gives them ownership of the market too, and is kind of hey, the more funds that the market has, the more they can put back into the community, the better your experience as a vendor is going to be, the more invested the shoppers are going to be. It kind of, it works for everybody. And I think that's another thing that just vendors forget. It is a weird relationship between vendors and farmers markets, and you kind of both work for each other. But getting them involved in that way, I think, is really, really smart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great perspective to share. Yeah. And I think that another audience not to forget is the people that are not shopping at your farmer's market, but love your farmer's market. So many people say, oh, I love what you're doing, but I can never get there on Saturdays. Or I see real estate agents that say, close to the corner farmers market, just walking distance from the corner farmers market. So those are the people that, I'm like, hey, well, here's a way, if you can't come spend money at the market, here's a way that you can support us. Here's, sign on as a sustainer. And a lot of folks that are sustainers don't come to the market every week, so that's an audience you don't want to lose.
Yeah. Or for us here in San Diego, the people that have timeshares or condos here, and they're here 3 weekends out of the year, but when they're here, they want to come to the Mercado.
And they chose that condo or timeshare because it's close to a farmer's market. So
yeah. A lot of
point.
people really value it, whether they're personally in the market or not.
Yeah. So cool. Kathy, can you tell us, we have a little bit more time here, if you can just tell us a little bit about the Green for Greens program.
Oh, that's my favorite thing.
Oh, good.
We share that program with our sister market, and it's the program that doubles SNAP dollars. And what I found, we have a partnership with the university, which is right at our back door, UNCG, University of North Carolina in Greensboro. Their communication studies program has really helped us build up our Green for Greens fundraising. And one of the things that was really interesting when we were doing research is we found where I live, I can walk 6 blocks and hit a mobile home community, and I can walk 6 blocks and there's $1 million mansion. Our neighborhood is extremely economically diverse. But when we were talking to the people that live in the mansions about donating to a SNAP doubling program, once they even understood what SNAP was, they said, oh, well, there's nobody in this neighborhood that needs that. And so, being here at the heart of it, I know there are people, a lot of people, especially right now, that do need, a little help with their grocery bills. And, it feels almost like a community service to let people know who's on the other side of their neighborhood, and to create a space where those people come together. So that program, we call the fundraising program Green for Greens. We run that through our nonprofit, and we share it with the People's Market. And a lot of it is grant funded. The sustainer program, we like to use, you're a sustainer of the corner market or the People's Market. The Green for Greens program, we generally ask for donations, just straight out donations, rather than a monthly donation there. It's just because it gets kind of confusing, like, what am I giving money to? But yeah, I mean, that's been a really important program and a way that our market has grown, because we talk about it all the time. And so people who are newly getting SNAP or the PEBT know that we have this and it's normal here. You can come and, the person ahead of you or behind you, or, the person that from PTA, maybe also using SNAP, that it's not a weird stigma at our market to use that. So, I mean, I really like to be able to talk about it, and I love that we can double $50 a week for a family.
That's great.
Yeah.
We at our market, we match up to $10, which is thrilling, just to give $10 more, but 50, it could really make a huge difference in somebody's life every week. Since you share the program, do you share your EBT SNAP? Like, could I go on a Thursday to your sister market and get the matching program, and then also go on a Saturday to your market and get the match?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty hard to track if somebody had been to the other market. And so, and really, I mean, if you want to spend $200 at our markets, I mean, I've got no problem with that. And we also accept the tokens from each other's market. So I'll say, like, hey, if you don't use them all up today, Thursday night, go get dinner. And, so it's a way to feed folks that are in our neighborhood to that market and vice versa. So it builds new customers for sure between the two markets.
That's really handy.
That's a great program to have more.
Yeah.
Did you approach the university, or did they approach you for their part in this?
They, the way that it happened was the National Communications Association gave out grant funding, and it's, I'll get this wrong, Community Collaboration for Change is the program. And so they looked for groups, nonprofit groups that were doing interesting things in the community that students may be able to support. And I really love it, because when I was in school, a communications degree was learn how to sell a product and make money. And this is, learn how to communicate to change your community. So the kids that are coming out of the program are just, I won't say activists, but they care about the community and they know how to use their powers for good. So we've worked with them, and some of the most powerful things that they've done for us is helped us do research. I think people might tell a group, a professor and a group of students different things than they would tell me about, donating to the market or how they feel about, people that use SNAP or whatever. So yeah, I mean, they put the grant out there and we applied for it, and that's how we got it.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
I love that.
And as somebody with a master's in communication studies, I approve.
You approve?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good to use those skills for the good of your community, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Justine is definitely using her degree for the power of good. Mm-hmm. Right?
Thank you.
That's right. Promoting farmers markets and helping people eat nutritious food. How much bigger good could you be supplying?
Yeah. And it's cool for those students too I know, like in college, I also was in academia for a while and taught. It is hard to like get your students involved in the community. Like I would give assignments and be like, go do this research program and meet somebody in the community. But like that's kind of hard to actually do. So it's great that you're giving them an opportunity to get involved and to apply themselves and learn about the people living around them. And just from like a community standpoint, I think that's really productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good for everybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. So what's next for the corner market?
Oh, we're always fundraising.
There we go.
And when I think about it, when I first started volunteering, if I had been told how much fundraising my job would have entailed, I probably would have backed away. But it's actually ended up not being like I thought it would be, if that makes sense. I love this community, and I really believe in what I'm selling and what I'm asking people to invest in. So it's not as painful as I would have thought. I'm not selling wrapping paper for, the PTA.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I may be one day. But yeah, I mean, I really have enjoyed fundraising because I love to talk about the programs that we do at the market and love to let people know about it. So it's been a surprisingly pleasant part of my job, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
I feel like they're interested in it, and especially if they're shopping, it's like something that's part of their lives. It's not kind of an obscure, like, oh, I feel passionate about, local food. But if they're actually there, if they're being, they're a part of the community, it's like, hey, like help support this so that this community can be sustained. Then I feel like you're making the shoppers feel great about supporting it, and then, you're getting the funds, and so it's just a kind of win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's make fundraising fun again. We put the fun and fundraising.
Fun and fundraising.
It feels very nerdy to say that, but yeah.
It's all right. We're all on the same team, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think that people should be afraid of this, taking a farmer's market manager position because they see how much fundraising you have to do.
Yeah.
I think that if you love it, it's just okay.
Yeah.
It's an okay part of the job.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for all of your information. I feel like even though we've been market managers for a long time and have done a lot of dynamic things, I love speaking to market managers that are doing cool programs, and I definitely want to do some birthday fundraisers for our market because it sounds fun.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, your markets sound fantastic, and we will be sure to just keep in touch and kind of keep an eye on, what's going on over there if we we get out to North Carolina.
It's so nice to chat with y'all. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you
Thanks
so much, Kathy.
Kathy. We'll talk to you soon, hopefully.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Farmers markets are all about connection, and all of us, operators, farmers, and vendors, keep learning. Join us and your fellow market participants at the 6th Annual Intense the Farmers Market Conference in San Diego, California on March 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2022 to grow your market and your community. Connect with people just like you from various parts of the country and share what's happening in your area in the terrific conversations over in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. If you're actively involved in a farmers market, please find us there, answer the 3 qualifying questions, and join the group. You can also message us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros or email us at connect@farmersmarketpros.com. If you're just getting started in farmers markets, check out our Vendor 101 online course at farmersmarketpros.com. Thanks for listening to Tent Talk. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you access your podcast, and tell us and others how you're enjoying Tent Talk. If you are listening on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss the next episode. Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is proudly produced by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni-Mead. Original music by David Mead. Thank you so much for listening today, and we'll have another great episode next week. Tune in.